our public speaking delivery techniques. Then from
Yes.
today until the last day, we would focus on pronunciation. So because you're already into public speaking and because you have attended few other classes around public speaking, I would not beat around the bush around public speaking or go deep inside, just like I wrote in the piece I sent to you yesterday. I had to go through this because it was one of the things you mentioned in your assessment form. That is the reason why we're talking about this. So when it comes to
Yes.
public speaking delivery techniques, there are two things that I like to focus on. I call them the two E's. Two E's. And that is emotion and energy. Emotion and energy. In speaking generally, whether you're just speaking in a conversation or you're speaking in a presentation event, your emotion and your energy would usually add to your USS. Your USS means unique speaking style. And of course, like you know already, excuse me, we have different purposes of public speaking. Sometimes it might just be to share information, just information sharing. Sometimes it might be to persuade. Maybe you're trying to persuade a client. Sometimes it might be to educate them, to let them know why this is happening, that is happening. So there are different reasons why we do public speaking. But for all of these reasons, there's always one major thing, which is for your audience to enjoy what you're saying. And two things that helps them to see you as a great public speaker, to see your speech as a great speech, and for them to enjoy every moment of it is this two is energy and emotion. So what exactly is energy? Energy has to do with the frequency. Energy has to do with how you project yourself, how you project your voice. There's a way you say a particular topic that would sound so interesting to whoever that is listening, and there's a way another person would say that same topic and it sounds boring. Like, I don't want to listen. There is a way another person would say the same topic and it sounds like something I have heard over and over and over again. And there's a way another person will go through that same topic. Yes, I have heard it before, but the way she presented hers is just different and it interests me more. That is why sometimes, for example, for Christians or for Muslims, when they go to their worship centers during sermon, sometimes it just feel like we have heard this over and over again, and yet nobody's really doing anything around that thing. Nobody's getting back home to make use of the knowledge or to make use of the information shared. But another time, when you hear that same thing, even though you have heard it over time, something then triggers you to want to work on the information. Many times it is because of the energy in which that other person put into speaking or into sharing that information. So energy is power, energy is frequency, energy is how you show yourself. Now many times you see some speakers when they are on the podium, they jump here and there when they need to jump, they scream, they had that vigor to some part of their speech when they need to emphasize. They add momentum. They're not just static. They're not just standing there. There's a level of authority they add to what they are saying with their voice that makes you want to hear that thing again. That even makes them to go over that thing again. That is energy. So when we talk about energy, you can use your voice, you can use your body language, and of course you can use your facial expression. So in all, energy helps to capture the attention of your audiences. It keeps them in check such that they are not distracted. Nothing around again matters at that moment. It's just you. You become the center of attraction. Energy also helps you connect with your audience. One of the things I love about public speaking is it's a time for me to share my story. Whatever I'm saying, I find a way to bring in my experiences. And a lot of public speakers have this trouble of I don't have stories to share. The truth is everything that happens in our life is story. Everything from what you ate this morning to what you would see on the road when you drive out to what you see on TV to what you hear people talk about. They are all stories. They are all things that you could share. Just that many times we don't think enough. So there is enough story for every individual to talk about, to share, to help them connect with their audience. And lastly, energy helps us to maintain momentum. It helps with that fluency, that smoothness, to keep going, to keep moving with that vigor, with that energy. While the second E is what I call emotion. Emotion, just like we all know already, talks about the state of being. And thank God you can work on your emotions. You can be tired and yet show power, yet show availability, even though deep down you know you're tired. And you can be happy, yet show soberness. Yesterday, I really love to listen to Chimamanda's poetry every time. And she's very big on talking about kindness and love. And in the midst of whatever she's saying, in the midst of her words, there are times where she shows that beautiful smile of hers when need be. And there's some things or some words in which she needs to emphasize, and just right there, the emotion changes. That's one thing I love about emotion. You are in control of your emotion. So this morning, you can wake up so energetic, and yet you have a presentation to make that talks more about a part about negativity. It doesn't mean that because you're happy, then you have to show that happiness on stage. Because, of course, what you're talking about is negativity. It should show in your voice, it should show in your countenance, it should show in everything. So, what does emotion does? Emotion is that thing that brings the realness in your story. Emotion is that thing that lets whatever you're saying to be what your audience can relate with. One of the things we all share together is emotion. Just like they say everybody has 24 hours, we also share the same emotions. When you're sad, almost everybody around you they've been in that state at one point in their life and they understand what it means. When you're happy as well, they have been in that state at one point in their life and they understand what it means. So everybody can relate. Emotions is the easiest way to connect with your audience. Another thing about emotion is it helps to enhance your credibility. It lets people know if what you're saying is true or false. If you're talking about a particular thing that you cannot be in its state, then you might not be a true person. You might not be true to what you're saying. So it helps to enhance your credibility. If you're talking about something, even when you have not experienced that thing, but you're able to put yourself in such state, whether you've experienced it or not, people will believe what you're saying. And lastly, emotion helps to strengthen impact. Impact both in the case of your audiences and in your own case this time. So the two E's are very, very important. So how do you infuse them? How do you infuse them in your speech? The first is via vocal varieties. In Toastmasters, there's something we call vocal varieties. Vocal varieties has to do with how your voice is able to suit every energy and every emotion. Majorly, we have two types of voice, or should I say two type of vocal. we have low and high. In between, we have low high low, and all, but we have two major ones. It's either your voice is low, you have a low vocal, or you raise your vocal and it becomes high. There are two major ones. Naturally, we would say that low talks about negativity, talks about soberness, it talks about ease, it talks about tiredness. While high, excuse me, talks about cloud nine, it talks about availability, open mindedness, happiness, reliance, etc. So those are the two major type of vocals we have. So now talk about your energy. So the first thing you want to do when you want to deliver any speech, what energy, what emotion am I expected to use in this? Many times it's usually a mixture of two emotions. It could be the high or the low and the flat. Energy as well. It could be the high and the low and the flat. So as a banker, what are the can you give me one topic that you usually talk about many times? Are you there, ma'am? Hello, ma'am. Might be talking to myself.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I can hear you.
Okay, I said you should give me a topic, something that you talk about many times around your presentation. So I can
I talk about what? I didn't hear you. I didn't get you.
I said you should give me a topic, something that you usually talk about that I can use as an example.
Your voice is very low, but I can hear you now. I think I can hear you now.
Did you hear everything I've been saying before? Did you hear every other
Hello?
thing I've been saying?
You are breaking.
Did you hear every other thing?
I can't hear you again.
Before I called you, were you hearing every other thing I was saying before? Hello?
Yes, I captured everything. You talk about emotion, you talk about energy,
So
then the vocal, low and high vocal. I'm with you, but when you ask that question, I didn't get your question.
I said that. Is there a major topic you usually talk about?
Your voice is breaking. It's broken. It's breaking. I can't hear you. Yeah, your voice is very, very faint. Very, very faint.
Is it better now? Is it better now? Is it better now?
Yes, it's better now. It's better now. I can hear you clearly now.
Okay. So when we talk about vocal techniques, so what are the things that you could
Okay.
do, the techniques that you could do to help your vocal such that it shows that energy that we requested, needed for you to have a good speech? Is to vary your voice. You need to learn
Okay, like
to
starting a scenario, right?
what did you
Like a scenario where you have to.
Your question is not clear.
It's not clear. I said like a scenario where I will have to react.
I don't understand your question.
Hello. No, you're the one that you said that to cite an example of what? I didn't get it.
Okay, oh, I already left that since you didn't hear that. I was asking you to give me
I
a topic that you usually talk about?
At work.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The topic we normally talk about is that performance. I'm in retail, I'm a marketer. So everything they want to hear is your performances, all parameters. You have to do well. I think that's the major thing. That's the major thing that we normally talk about. How to rev up your performance.
Okay. Okay. So let's proceed. So saying that one of the things you need to do to help with your vocal varieties so that you can have a voice or vocal that suits each of everything you want to say is to vary your volume. Varying your volume means not speaking in a particular tone. When you speak in one tone, we call
Okay.
that monotone. That's why you notice that short video reels that we watch on Instagram, when they make those short video reels of a speaker talking, you realize that many times when you watch every other part of that video reel, sometimes it's not as interesting as that short part that they cut out and turned into reels. That is because at that short video, many times the speaker would emphasize what he or she had said. So, one way to vary your volume is when you talk about important points, you want to repeat, you want to emphasize important points by raising your voice, by saying it with a more powerful voice. Sometimes, also, when we ask questions, we say with a more powerful voice. Or maybe we're trying to create suspense. We change our tone. So let's assume I'm talking about savings. I'm talking about why you should save. And I've been saying things like saving helps you to have something for the raining day. Savings help you to be sure that when there's an emergency, you have somewhere to go over. And most importantly, now I want to talk about something important. My voice has to change. And most importantly, saving is life saving. Saving is life saving. Now, what did I do? The two other points I had mentioned, I spoke in a particular tone, not too fast, not too slow. But the last part, because I want to emphasize, because I realized that maybe it's the most important point that I have in all my points. First, I reduced my pace. Pace is about your speed. I reduced my pace. I didn't rush it. Second, I said the words in that short phrase, I said it almost at different frequency, using different tone. Saving is life saving. I added a bit of energy as well. So we do this when we want to emphasize important points. It could be when you want to ask questions. It could be when you want to create suspense. So the tone in which you have been saying every other thing you are saying, when you get to that point, you want to change that tone and speak with a more powerful tone. You want to speak with a more vigor tone. Another technique that we do is to modulate our pace. Pace means the speed in which you talk. You want to avoid talking too slowly or talking too fast. Instead, you want to talk in a pace that is comfortable for your audience and, of course, comfortable for you. Many times when we talk, we do not hear ourselves. We know we're saying something. We hear what we're saying, but we do not really hear ourselves well, especially in public speaking, or especially when you are doing something to impress others. When you are on a spot, we do not hear ourselves many times. It is our audiences that hear us. And most times, the way it works, the brain of your audience does not work at the same pace as your voice. So when you say a sentence, they need few seconds to process it before they can listen or really hear your second sentence. So many times when a public speaker is speaking and you're speaking too fast, you realize that your audience cannot keep up with your pace. At a point in time, you might lose them, so they might not hear what the first word you've said, or they might not hear what you have said at a particular time before moving to the next thing. It's just like when we were in secondary school, our teachers are trying to dictate for us. At a point, you're like, "Oh, sir, what did you say before?" Because the brain and your voice cannot keep up with each other. So this is one of the reasons why, as a speaker who wants to speak powerfully, you need to modulate your voice. There's some things that you want to say that you need to say them fast. And there's some things that you need to say that you need to go slower than the usual pace in which you were speaking before, especially when you want to engage your audience. When you're asking a question, for example, you do that in a slower pace. When you're asking a rhetoric questions are questions that you do not need answers to. When you're asking a rhetoric question, many times you say that in a normal pace, the normal pace in which you've been having your speech. But when you're asking a question that you need answers to, we say that in a slower pace because you want them to be able to give answers. Sometimes also we ask questions just for them to just to provoke their thought, just to open their mind to think about something. When you're doing that as well, you ask in a slower pace. So it is important for you to always keep your pace in check. The pace in which you started your public speaking or your presentation should not be the same pace in which you use throughout your presentation. At those points when you need to engage your audience, you want to modulate your pace. Another is to vary your vocal inflection. Varying your vocal inflection simply talks about when you're talking about things that are in its positive light, let your voice be high. Let your voice show it. Let it convey your emotion. Let your voice add meanings to your words. When you're talking about things that talks about negativity, let your voice add meaning to your words, such that in public speaking there must be a relationship, an agreeable relationship between your words and your body language. In fact, in public speaking, we would usually say that your words takes about 30% of your speech, while your emotions, your energy, your body language, your voice, every other thing that isn't about words takes the 70%. So when I open my mouth to talk with great diction, beautiful diction, that is just 30%. The remaining 70% talks about what my hands are doing, what my underlying voice is doing, what the emotion behind the voice is doing, what my face, my eyes, my lips, what they are doing. Is there an alignment between what they are all doing and what my voice or what my words are saying? If there is, then well done. Otherwise, you need to double check. So that's why at home, when you're practicing your public speaking, it is usually said that Use the mirror so that you can see yourself. You can see what every other things is doing in the mirror. Aside the mirror, you can also use your phone. Record yourself, do a video of yourself. So tomorrow, this is how I will stand. I'm going to move from the middle of the podium to the left side of the podium when I'm talking about this part of my speech. Excuse me. When I am talking about the other part, I will use the other part of my podium, the right hand side of my podium. When it's time for me to engage my audience, talking about audience engagement, there are different ways you could engage your audience. One common ways that we see is asking questions. You see people say things like, if you have eaten this morning, raise your hand. That is audience engagement. If you have ever had a bad day, let me see your hands up. If you watch a lot of TED talks, or you go for a lot of events where people are talking, maybe like book launch and all, they do a lot of all of these things. But they ask questions around what is happening without necessarily getting making you to say yes or no. But they can see that smile, or they can see the emotions on your face. All of these are called audience engagement. There are different ways you can engage your audiences. So while you're engaging your audience, it is important to vary your vocal inflection. Let it go up when necessary, let it come down when necessary. Then project your voice. Projecting your voice is you throwing your voice to the back of the class. It is different from screaming, it is different from shouting. It is throwing your voice to the back of the class. You want to speak loudly and clearly. That's very important. And clearly. You do not have to rush your words or put your words together. Speak clearly. And speaking clearly also doesn't mean saying your words one, one, one. Speaking clearly is more of opening your mouth wide enough when necessary and opening it a bit when necessary. So the way you open your mouth is the way your words come out, and the way your words come out is the way your audience hear it. So speak clearly and loudly enough for everyone in the room to hear what you're saying. And lastly, on the vocal technique is to use pauses strategically. Pause is you keeping quiet for a few seconds during your presentation. Pause allows you to stop using filler words. Filler words are words like and So filler words are redundant words that do not add meanings to what you're saying. So today we're going to have our icebreaker speech. So let's assume I'm having my icebreaker speech. An icebreaker speech is a speech. It is usually the first speech in any public speaking class, and it is that speech you give to help introduce yourself, to help the people you're talking to know you better. Icebreaker speech is different from my name is Olubukola Abi Agbalaya. I am the lead instructor of Life Educational Consult. No, that is not an icebreaker speech. That is just normal introducing or introduction that people do every time they have a speech. An icebreaker helps the people that are listening to you, your audience, to know you better. So we call it an introduction speech. We're going to have it today. So I want to quickly have a short icebreaker speech now. I want to practice using fill-up words and then using pauses so that you can understand better. Have you ever met a girl in her 20s who had heard the word talent, 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 but didn't know what talent is? Day, night, afternoon, she would keep asking herself, what exactly is my talent? I do not know how to sing. I do not know how to draw. I cannot even dance. My sisters laugh at me. And that bothers her, such that she attended lots of classes to help her identify her talent. But even in those classes, it just sounded like they were speaking jargon. Have you ever? That was me some 10, 12 years ago. But now, of course, I not only know what my talent is, I harness my talent very well. And it's one of the greatest blessings I have. My name is Olubukola R.B. Agbalaya. And today I will be sharing with you a part of me that you need to know. Before I became an elocution, in fact, I love to call myself a teacher, but a lot of people will say, do not call yourself a teacher because you are downgrading yourself. I do not believe in that. But of course, that is what we see or hear in Nigeria as a teacher. Before I became a teacher, before I became an elocutionist, before I started helping people to be more in terms of their speaking skill, I was so troubled in my heart as I didn't know what my talent was. Every other person knew what it was. Either they were dancing, they were drawing, they were singing. I couldn't do any of those because those were the common ones then when I was growing up. At the time, I learned barbing, I learned bead making. I hated cooking, but I actually went for a class, a cooking class, as a caterer. I learned so many things. So even my brother would say, it's obvious you're confused because you don't even know what you want to do. You want to just learn everything. And somehow I figured out, Bukola, you love talking so much. And then a friend told me about a school where I could enhance my speaking skill. I went there slowly without so much interest. But should I shock you? When I got there, I realized that's where I should be. I took it seriously. I learned, and here I am today, happy that I am helping other people speak better. Want to improve your speaking skill? I am the best person to reach out to. So the next time you see me, feel free to call me the Diction Queen. Thank you. That is a short icebreaker speech. So anyone who is listening to me now knows how I had troubles figuring out what I wanted to be in future and how I eventually identified it and why I am doing what I am doing right now. That is a short icebreaker speech. During that icebreaker speech, there's sometimes that I just keep quiet for a few seconds without saying anything. That is called powerful pauses. Now let me try that speech again without pausing. This time I'm going to use filler words. Remember again, filler words are those words that you add to your speech. We use them many times when we do not know the next thing to say. We say you know, and then, and so, um, um, um. A lot of people use filler words in this manner. Our next speaker is Olubukola R.B. Agbalea. Please put your hands together for her. So Olubukola will come out and say something like, um, today I will be introducing myself and telling you a part of me that you do not know. Some about some 15 years ago, I didn't know what I wanted to be in future. And then my friends would always talk about their talent, their gift, even on Facebook then. Everything everyone was talking about is your purpose, your talent, your gift. And I attended like 3 classes around it. Even after that, I didn't understand what it was because it was just like they were speaking jargon and they were speaking words that I didn't understand. And then one day, One friend of mine, what's his name again? Ola. Ola actually told me about a school where I could improve my speaking. And actually, I wasn't interested. But Ola forced me. Then I actually had to go. And when I got there, actually, I then loved what they were doing. And I then learned. And then I fell in love with it. And today, I help people to speak better. Actually, my second name is the Diction Queen. So anytime you see me, feel free to call me the Diction Queen. I've just said the same thing, almost the same thing, maybe not word for word, but I'm passing the same information. The first example I gave, I used strategic pauses to create anticipation. So you want to hear what my next word is. You're interested because I painted a picture using storytelling. The second example I give, I use storytelling as well. But I added a lot of words that didn't add to what I was saying. I used I used actually. They didn't add to what I was saying. It didn't add any extra meaning. Instead, it made my speech redundant. But many times, a lot of people use this filler words. And one of the reasons why people use filler words is because it gives them that momentum. They are still saying something. They are not quiet. People are scared of staying quiet during speech, but it's not true. There's nothing wrong from you being quiet. It just depends on how you start your quietness and how long it takes. In public speaking, we allow, in fact, in public speaking, it is said that powerful pause when you keep quiet for a few seconds in your speech confidently, you are projecting confidence rather to your audience. One of the things I love to use in my public speaking, anytime I'm saying anything, whether I'm acting as an MC or anything, is powerful pausing. Let's talk about, let's assume I'm a banker and I'm trying to give a report of what I have done over the week. Let me try. I've never given this kind of speech, but let me try. Okay. It's the month of June. Okay, this is July. It's the month of July, and I'm here to give my what do you call it? Is it report?
Yes, monthly reports,
Okay,
monthly performance reports,
performance.
monthly performance reports.
Performance. And I'm here to give my
Yes.
monthly performance report. June was quite a long month for me, and a rainy one at that. The rain was a bit of challenging. Of course, I love challenges because it was at some point not helping me manage my time well. But in all, I made things happen. Between the 1st and the 13th of June, I was able to hit my target effortlessly with the help of few strategies that I used. But from the 15th of June to 17th of June, it seemed like the world is at hold as nothing was moving. I almost felt downcasted as my numbers weren't impressive. Fortunately, again, by the 18th of June to the 22nd of June, the numbers started running again. And that was because I did a tweak in my market analysis. I was able to analyze what went wrong between 15th and 17th. I put in the numbers, I did a bit of calculation, and boom, on the 18th, I made all of those losses back. So from the 18th to the 30th of June, we hit the ground running, my team and we're able to bring up something tangible. Interestingly, we didn't just hit our targets, we surpassed our targets. So on the screen, I have my graph. So you realize that it went up here, it went down there, it went up here, it went down there. So in all, I would say that the month of June was favorable. It was great. So we had few challenges like the rain. And we know that July there will be more rain. So I would say my team and I are more prepared for the rain. So it wouldn't be much of a challenge to us. And we look forward to creating more reasonable numbers in July. So what did I do? This is my first time of giving this speech. It wasn't like I had all my words in my head already. But as I started, I used powerful pauses. I'm emphasizing on powerful pauses because it is a very great strategy for anyone, in fact, speech, any type of speech at all. Whether it's a speech that you can paint beautiful storytelling skill, or a speech where you just have to give numbers, statistics, or you even have to quote figures, or you have to quote what other people have said. Powerful pauses allows you to create that anticipation. It allows you to showcase yourself as a power to reckon with in whatever you're saying. So, in terms of vocal techniques, we have mentioned about 5 things that you should do. First is to vary your volume. Do not speak in a monotone. Speak in different tones, but of course, let your tone align with what you're saying. So figure out where you need to use the high tone, where you use the low tone, or the flat tone. Modulate your pace. Don't be too fast, don't be too slow. Know when to go slowly, when to go fast, when to retain your pace. Literacy. Vary your vocal inflection. Do not let your voice sound flat. Add emotions to your voice. Add emotions to your words. Project your voice. Speak loud enough such that everyone in the room can hear you without screaming. And use pauses strategically. Instead of using filler words, when you get to any part of your speech where you're not sure what the next thing to say, instead of saying and, instead of trying hard to remember, take a pause strategically. Take a pause strategically. That would help you to be able to remember whatever you want to say. It would also help your audience to absorb the other information you've shared earlier without them feeling like they're waiting for you. Use it confidently, use it strategically so that it becomes a power for you. So, do you have questions around vocal techniques before we move to body language techniques? Madam, madam,
Sorry, somebody distracted me. I'm sorry. I'm with you.
do you have questions around vocal techniques so we can move to body language techniques?
Yes, I want to talk about, we talked about that 30% of our presentation is on our words. That for words, we can choose that 30%, about 30% of our body language. So what I'm saying is, when you are presenting, those that you are communicating with, at times they are not with you. Like when we normally had our regional NPR now, you can even be inside your car and be presenting. So nobody will see your body language. You
Okay.
know, I might even be talking to somebody. I might be busy with other things. So I think the words that we are going to that presentation should take like 80% because they are not there with me.
Okay.
They are not there with me. So they might not likely see my body language. If our words is only 30%, that's where I have I need to ask
Okay.
about that. I need more explanation why our words is just 30%, why other carries our body language and emotions and all that. They might not even see my emotion. Though from my presentation, from my speech, they will know my emotion. No, they are not seeing it.
Okay.
So I need explanation on that.
Okay. Number one, I am not the one who created the statistic. Number two, that is the statistic, even for online presentation. Whether they are seeing your emotion or your energy or your body language or not, they can figure it out from how you're sounding. Just like the way we are speaking now. You cannot see my voice, and that is because I joined with my phone. If I had joined with my laptop, you will be able to see my voice. You'll be able to see my face, my hand, and everything. So whether you can see it or not, I can tell you it is still contributing to how I sound. So whether they can see it or not, if you use it well, it would affect how they hear you from wherever they are hearing you from. That's number one. Number two, I am a Toastmaster. Toastmaster is a public speaking and leadership club, an international club. At Toastmasters, when we do online presentations, you're always advised to stand and not sit. It gives you more advantage to be able to use your body language to suit you. And that is because at Toastmaster, for every speech you make, you will be criticized. So they would not want to hear it is because I was sitting. That is why I couldn't use this well, I couldn't use that well. For every speech, you will be criticized. It is more like a competition. So you must do it well every time. You must. You must give it your best. So as much as you cannot see my face, where I am, when I need to shake my body, I am. Where I need to do wiggle my face, I am. Because it's just like when you speak to somebody on the phone, even though you can't see them, how do you figure out that, oh, this person is not sounding like the way she used to sound? How do you figure out that this person is not really sounding like she's in good health? It still deals with the emotion and the energy, even though you cannot see them. So even when you're having an online delivery, you're having an online delivery, you're delivering over the phone or etc. The people listening, especially if there is maybe a judge or those that would criticize and give feedback, they can still feel all of those things. So whether they can see it or not, I hope that answers your question, ma'am.
Yes, yes, you are very correct.
Okay.
So I accept because even when you are presenting based on your emotions and your body language, even though they are not seeing it, that will also impact on my speech, my emotions, my emotion, and every other thing will show when I'm presenting, to show on my speech. So it's okay. I agree with you.
So let's
I
talk
agree with you.
about the presentation, which is body language techniques. So just like we have our vocal techniques, techniques to help you use your voice well, we also have the body language technique. So body language, just like it talks about how you use your body, your hands, your legs, face, your gesture, excuse me, etc. Now, the first thing you want to know is when it comes to speaking, whether you're sitting or you're standing, it is very great. Excuse me, there's nothing like very great. It is very good to maintain good posture because our words come from our stomach. So if you're sitting and you're not sitting well, it affects how your word come out. If you're standing and you're not standing well, it affects how your voice come out. So it is always advisable, whether you're sitting during your presentation or you're standing. Many people recommend standing during presentation. It gives you more authority. It helps you to be able to manage your stage, to be able to command your stage, etc. But whichever position you find yourself, none is wrong. It just depends on preference. Whichever position you find yourself, make sure you are in a good posture. If you're standing, stand tall with your shoulders back. If you're sitting, don't slouch. Sit straight with your shoulders high as well, as it helps you to maintain eye contact. Another thing about good posture if you're standing is don't cross your hands together. Don't clamp your hands together. When you clamp your hands together, it's showing a closed posture. It tells people you're not approachable. It tells people you're not open to them. It tells people you're shy. You want to be alone. You're not ready for this. But if your hands are opened, as a woman, your hands can be beside you. One can be on your lap. It depends on the posture you are. So when they're beside you, it shows that you're more approachable. It shows that you're opened. You're ready to share with them and you're ready to learn from them. So it's not advisable that you put your hands together, maybe in front or you fold your arms. No. Put them beside you, but open, so that you appear more confident and you appear more approachable. To maintain good posture. Next is to make eye contact. When you make eye contact, it helps your audience to see how comfortable you are. Many times people would say, look above the head of your audiences. Some will tell you, look at the floor. Some will tell you, look into the space. Just look somewhere around, not necessarily someone. All of those aren't great strategies. Excuse me. The best strategy is to maintain eye contact. Look at different part of the room. Look through people's eyes. Focus on them. Many times during presentation, you realize that when you're talking to people, especially if it's a physical presentation, you cannot have everyone's attention. And that is not determined on maybe your presentation is boring or your presentation is not engaging. No matter how engaging it is, you cannot have everyone in the room. But of course, there are few people that will be so focused on you that they would enjoy your presentation and you could see them nodding their head along with you. You can see them giving you that vibe that they are into you. They really want to learn. They really want to listen to you more. Continue, continue, continue. You can focus more on those people and make eye contact with them. But of course, it is always advisable also not to make eye contact with just one person because when you make too long eye contact, the person might start to feel uncomfortable. So try to look at different people, make eye contact with different people in the different part of the room throughout your presentation. Don't look above their head, don't look below their head, don't just look into the space, look in their eyes. Maintain eye contact with them. Also, use facial expression. Use facial expression that matches the tone of your voice, that matches your words. When you're talking about something serious, let's see that firmness in your facial expression. And you're talking about something exciting, let's see the smile in your facial expression. When you're talking about something inappropriate, let's see that you're frowning at it. Let's say that you don't want it. You don't even want to hear about it. Let's see how much you hate that thing. So let your facial expression, let it match the tone of your voice, let it match the message you're passing. Smile when appropriate, frown when appropriate, nod your head when appropriate, open your mouth when appropriate. Let your facial expression match your words, let it match your tone, let it match the atmosphere. Then hand gesture. A lot of people do not know how to use hand gesture. We just move our hands on purpose. You just keep moving it just so that the hand moves. Your hand must not move every time you're speaking. Let it move naturally. Imagine you're having a conversation with your friend. You're having a conversation with your friend. When you say this, will your hand move? She would not move. Then it should not move during your presentation as well. Keep your hands to yourself. Use your hand gesture only when necessary. Avoid using it excessively and avoid not using it at all. When do you use your hand gesture? Number one, when you want to emphasize a point, you use your hand gesture. Number two, when you're trying to point at something, maybe you're trying to give an example of someone in the room, or you're trying to point at a picture, or maybe you have a chart, or you're using a presentation, you're trying to point at your graph. Yes, feel free to use your hand gesture. Or you're sharing a story and you're trying to act out what you're saying, use your hand gesture. But when you do not need your hand gesture, keep your hands to yourself. Keep your palms to yourself. Keep your arms to yourself. Keep your hands to yourself. You do not have to use it. Then use the stage purposefully. Do not stay glued to a spot. And of course, don't move around every time. Move rhythmically. Move in a way that is purposeful. So, for example, on the stage, we have three major positions. We have the middle, we have the left side, and we have the right side. Now, for each of these positions, we have front, back, front, back. Now, the front, many times, is used for emphasizing. When you want to emphasize a point, you're always expected to move forward. When you're talking, you're just making general notions or general statements. You're expected to be at the middle of the stage, right there at the middle. Now, when you're progressing, progression means you moving a step towards the right or a step towards the left. It depends on you. I'm going to explain all of these things to you once we're done with this when I give my icebreaker speech. So it means once I'm starting my speech, I have to find a spot to stay in the middle. As I progress, to show that I'm moving forward, to show that I'm moving from my introduction to my body and to my conclusion, I'll keep taking a step towards the left side of my podium or the right side of my podium. When I want to emphasize things, I take a step towards the the front. That is, I take a step forward. I keep going forward to emphasize. So that way, you're using your stage purposefully. Don't just stay glued to one spot. The spot where you started your presentation, you must not end on that spot. Move, move, use the stage purposefully. It helps to add changes to your presentation. It also helps different audience from different part of your room, the room where you're giving your presentation, to know that you're carrying them along. So imagine you're speaking to a 10,000 people, 10,000 capacity hall. You're speaking in a 10,000 capacity hall, and you stay at a spot, just the middle. It then feels like you're talking to only the people in the middle. What happened to those by the left side and the right side of the podium? That's why you need to use the different parts of your stage well, so that all your audiences feel connected with. So by mastering these techniques, you will not just deliver any speech. You will not just give your monthly report anyhow, but it will be more engaging, it will be more impactful, and of course, people would always want to listen to you. So do you have any question? I won't stop sharing my slide now. Make my presentation again, my icebreaker speech again.
No, I think I'm okay with the presentation so far.
Okay.
Mhm.
So we are going to give.
Are you rounding up for this? You said,
What did you say, ma'am?
I said, are you rounding up?
Rounding on. Like, are we concluding?
I
Is
said
that what
that
you're saying? Is that what you're saying?
for today.
Yes, we're concluding soon. You'll have.
Oh, okay, okay. You will send the screen recording to me
Yes, I will send it to you.
so that I can go through it again.
Yes, I will send it to you. So I want.
Yes, the lesson is fine, but I know I can't go on to get to the area I needed most, which is fluently speaking, pronunciation, and all that stuff. So, but for today, I'm okay. I appreciate your time.
Yes,
I
like
appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
you're welcome, ma'am. Like I mentioned in the slide I sent to you. Today we are just talking about public speaking because you mentioned two
Yes,
things in
exactly,
your assessment: public speaking and accent.
exactly.
Yes. So we're doing public
No
speaking.
problem.
So the other lessons I will be having will be around accent and diction.
All right,
Yes, ma'am.
all right.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome, ma'am. So I'm going to send the video to you.
Bye.
The video will be too long.
No problem.
1 hour, 3 minutes, 30 something seconds now. So I'm going to have to upload it on before sending it.
Okay. Okay, no problem.
Okay, ma'am. So have a great
No problem. I you too. I you too.
bye bye, ma'am.
Bye.
Yes, ma'am.